Today is 2nd of September and I welcome you all on my series, What to Read in the Hindu Newspaper. While going through the articles, we will not only see its relevance from the perspective of prelims and mains, but we will also try to interlink it with other GS papers as well. I am here to align your newspaper reading with the part of our GS syllabus. So let's get started. The very first article that catches our attention in today's Hindu newspaper is about SCO heads strongly condemned terrorist attack in Pahalgam. Now, the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article is about adoption of Tingyan Declaration that talks about collective fight against terrorism in Indian subcontinent. Also, they opposed unilateral coercive measures against a particular country. From prelims perspective, the same article is to be seen by going through the facts and data with regard to SCO members, observer status states, India's membership year and how did it join, declarations like Tingyan and other if one can go through. From mains perspective, the same angle can be linked while going through GS paper 2 wherein regional groupings and their impact on India's interest can be revised. For GS paper 3 also, challenges with regard to terrorism and cross-border movements can be linked while going through this particular article. Then there are other aspects that can be studied while going through this particular article is about India's neighborhood first policy, bilateral relationships with regard to India-Pakistan and India-China altogether. So this is how this particular article is to be seen holistically while going through this particular article. Then moving on, the next article that catches our attention in today's paper is about two more die of brain-eating amoeba infection in Kerala. Now, this particular article is important with regard to GS paper 2 public health, governance failure and water safety issues that has been in news over the period of time. So the key theme that has been discussed over here is about amoebic meningoencephalitis that is causing a brain fever and eventually leading to death of a person. So how this particular disease is being spread, whether that's waterborne, viral in nature or anything else. So that diversification needs to be read while going through this particular article. At the same time, this can even be linked with GS paper 3 wherein biotechnology and disease outbreaks can be linked and studied more holistically. Then we can even interlink it, this particular article with regard to public health outbreaks that often shows that there is a weak water governance with regard to outbreak. Then we can even collect it with universal health coverage debates and environmental governance as well. So in this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen from today's paper. The next important article that is worth our attention is about ISRO seeks proposal from scientific community to study Chandrayaan-3 data. Now, the key theme that has been discussed over here is ISRO is inviting scientific community to analyze the data that has been brought with the help of Chandrayaan-3. So from prelims perspective, we need to know the factual data with regard to Chandrayaan-3, its missions and its fact, landing in South Pole region that happened. And for mains perspective, we can see how is India collaborating and what's India's role in space tech as of now. The space technology development, how it contributes to nation development as well. But what sort of research ecosystem do we have and how much percentage of our GDP we invest in research ecosystem altogether. We can even interlink it with Atmanirbhar Bharat as well and global standing in space diplomacy. The current status of India can be quoted while going through this particular article. So the next important article that is worth to read from today's Hindu newspaper is about on editorials page, and it talks about the risk and the rise and risk of health insurance in India. So the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article is one argument talks about the failure and the critique of PMJ and state health insurance schemes that intends for universal health coverage, but there are several misses that has been because of this. At the same time, the profit driven private healthcare system that act as a predator on the poor people of India, that even leads to out of pocket expenditure and getting an entire family in a trap of poverty altogether. So from prelims perspective, the areas that we need to read and revise is about PM Jan Arogya Yojana scheme, its features. Then there is one mention I have already underlined here, Bore committee report, that it talks about the basic universal health, and it's a way back. It was released in 1946 only. So we need to know about several committees that recommends what sort of percentage of exact GDP that needs to be spent on healthcare sector altogether. Then from mains perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of GS2, issues in health sector altogether. Universal health coverage, being a socialist country, what are the steps from the central government and state government and the collaborations they are being made, and what have been the impact of these schemes on ground with regard to healthcare infrastructure in India. So that needs to be revised. Then from paper 3, GS paper 3, what percentage of budgetary allocation every year that has been done in a health sector altogether? Then what are the measures that has been taken so far to regulate the private hospitals? This needs to be revised further. And what all have been the government challenges so far? This can even be linked with ethics paper as well, wherein ethical healthcare debates could be the cornerstone of reading this particular article. And we can even put a case study in this regard while putting our arguments in essay paper as well. So in this manner, this particular article is to be seen holistically while going through it. The next important article that is worth our attention is noise pollution is rising, but policy is falling silent. Now, the key theme that has been discussed under this particular article is rising noise pollution in urban centers in India. Then there has been weak monitoring policy with regard to noise pollution by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. The noise pollution not only violates the nature's balance that creates unfeasible environment for the species altogether, but it is also violation of Article 21 and 48A under the DPSP. So with regard to prelims, the data that we need to brush up while going through this particular article is about the current CPCB rules to regulate noise pollution, then noise pollution rules of 2000, permissible decibel levels that is required and that is there in the provisions. Then from mains perspective, environmental governance can be linked, urban challenges can be linked, then environmental issues and public health is a constitutional right or fundamental right or not. So in this manner, this particular article is to be seen holistically while going through this article, and also various Supreme Court judgments that has been passed for this particular issue can be brushed up while going through this particular article. Then moving on, the next important article that is worth our attention is about carbon border, rethinking of carbon pricing and taxes. So the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article is UK, United Kingdom, is implementing 𝗂𝗵 from 2027, which will lead to escalation of Indian exports such as steel and aluminium in that country. So this talks about this now the carbon border adjustment mechanism that the UK is adopting. It will have a heavy impact on Indian exporters. So the key issue that has been talked in this particular article is what is CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanism, which all sectors have been covered. So these two aspects are to be read from the perspective of prelims. While going through the main lens, we can even analyze this article by impact on Indian exporters, then carbon pricing debates that is arising, who is historically responsible for the current crisis that we are having right now. At the same time, WTO principles, trade negotiations that are to be read and revised while going through this particular article. Then other areas that can be explored and linked with while going through this particular article is international trade policy with regard to GS paper 2 under the theme IR, climate change debate, GS3 environment, and Indian economy's impact, GS3. So in this manner, this particular article is to be seen holistically. So the next important article that is worth our attention in today's Hindu newspaper talks about a descent to safeguard the future. Now, this particular article is relevant with regard to GS paper 2, wherein judicial appointment and promotions, also transparency has been discussed. This can even be interlinked with as a case study in our GS paper 4 ethics and also in essay. In GS paper 4 under the theme ethical governance and institutional credibility can be linked. So the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article particularly focused upon dissent by a one of the senior most Supreme Court judge, wherein the elevation process or the promotion process goes on, wherein credibility with regard to fairness has been questioned. This can be revised for the appointment process of judiciary, the collegium system that we have, any other alternative that whether we have been trying to offer or not, and governance and ethics can be revised while going through this particular article. Moving on, the next important article that is holding our attention in today's Hindu newspaper is what is 𝗬𝗏, the brain tool developed indigenously. Now this is relevant for GS paper 3, role of technology in healthcare access. Now, the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article is the ICMR. They have developed a portable diagnostic tool for traumatic brain injuries, or TBI. So, 𝗬𝗏 is being developed, which uses infrared spectroscopy, and to treat the brain injuries, this can be used. The basics of TBI is to be read while going through this particular article. What is near infrared spectroscopy mechanism? This can be read. Then here, a lot of data with regard to accidents and even failure of brain that often happens in the patients. This can be quoted as an example why this is the need of the time. So in this manner, this particular article is to be seen. Any international convention with regard to it that has been adopted so far, other initiatives that has been taken with regard to this particular issue can be read. So this is all from my end from today's Hindu newspaper. Till we meet for the next time, take care, goodbye, and keep learning.